The spell the barbarians, Sonoyoi gained momentum, particularly in the power ascended the chrysanthemum throne, adopting the reign name Meiji, meaning enlightened rule. The Meiji Restoration was not merely a change in government, but the beginning of a profound national transformation. The capital was moved from Kyoto to Edo, which was renamed Tokyo, meaning Eastern Capital. Emperor Meiji issued the Charter Oath in 1868, a foundational document for the new era. The oath promised the creation of deliberative assemblies and that all classes would unite in carrying out the administration of the state. It declared that evil customs of the past shall be broken off, and knowledge shall be sought throughout the world. This marked the official start of the Civilization and Enlightenment period, or Bunmai Kaika. The new government swiftly moved to dismantle the feudal structure that had defined Japan for centuries. In 1871, the domains were officially abolished and replaced with a system of prefectures, centralizing power. The samurai class, once the ruling elite, lost their hereditary privileges and stipends. This was a painful but necessary step towards creating a society based on merit rather than birth. The government's slogan, Fukoku Kyohai, enrich the country, strengthen the military, became the driving force of the era. To achieve this, Japan needed to learn from the West, leading to the famous Iwakura mission in 1871. This diplomatic voyage sent top officials and scholars to the United States and Europe for nearly 2 years. Their goal was to observe everything from industrial technology and military organization to political systems and social customs. The mission's findings were instrumental in shaping the course of Japan's modernization. Industrialization began in earnest, with the government initially funding and establishing model factories. These enterprises, in sectors like silk and textiles, were later sold to private entrepreneurs, fostering a capitalist economy. The first railway line, connecting Tokyo and Yokohama, was opened in 1872, a marvel to the public. Telegraph lines were strung across the country, shrinking distances and revolutionizing communication. A modern postal service was established, modeled after the British system. The government adopted the Gregorian calendar in 1873, aligning Japan's official timekeeping with the West. Western fashion, or yofuko, became popular in cities, especially among government officials. samurai against the new imperial army. The army's victory proved the effectiveness of the new military system and marked the definitive end of the samurai era. The drive for a modern constitution began, influenced by the political theories observed in Europe. Ito Hirobumi, a leading statesman, was tasked with drafting this crucial document. After years of study and deliberation, the Meiji Constitution was promulgated in 1889. It established a constitutional monarchy, with the emperor as a sacred and sovereign ruler, but with power exercised by ministers. It also created the Imperial Diet, Japan's first modern parliament, consisting of a House of Peers and an elected House of Representatives. While suffrage was initially limited to a small percentage of wealthy male property owners, it was a significant first step. The new legal codes, based on German and French models, were adopted to replace the old feudal laws. This was a key part of the effort to revise the unequal treaties that had been imposed on Japan. By the 1890s, Japan's modernization had yielded a powerful, centralized state. The nation was ready to test its newfound strength on the international stage. The journey from feudalism to modernity was complete in a single reign.